Hey guys, this is Coach Alyssa from Isabella Fitness, and I'm going to put you through a workout. Today's workout is going to be a 13-minute AMRAP, which means we're going to do as many rounds as possible within those 13 minutes. All right, our three movements we're going to do today are 20 ground to overhead, which I'll show you guys what that is, 10 presses up overhead, and 30 Russian twists. All right, so for today we are going to use some items that we have at home, and I'll talk to you guys more about that. All right, so for the ground to overhead, that's going to be our main skill for today. With this one, you can hold on to 2 water bottles like I have here. You can hold on to a pillow, you can hold on to a backpack, anything that you have around the house. All right. If it's a little bit weighted, even better. For our ground to overhead, biggest thing is you're gonna hold on to whatever it is that you have. All right, we're gonna come down. We're going to bring our hips back. Knees are gonna have a slight bend in them, keeping our hips high. We're going to tap the floor. All right, this is the beginning of our movement. In this position, biggest thing you should be looking at is your back position. All right, when we come down, we don't wanna be like this. We don't wanna see any rounding in our back. That's the biggest thing we wanna avoid. So we're gonna pop our shoulders back, keep our knees nice and bent, and we should see this nice flat back. You know that your back is nice and flat when you can see some wrinkles in your shirt. So if you have a mirror or something at home you can look at and just see that back position, that would be best. So every time we're coming down with our piece of equipment, we're tapping the floor in this nice flat back position, coming through with our hips, doing a big press at the top. All right, here we're bringing our head through and our item should be right above our head. All right, so in motion, tapping the floor, coming up overhead. Tapping the floor, coming up overhead. Now say if you do have water bottles instead, or a backpack or anything like that, if you have 2 different items, you can again come down, tap the floor, press up overhead. Tap the floor, press up overhead. So really you can use anything for this movement. All right. So that's going to be our ground to overhead movement. You really want to use our hips to help lift up that piece of equipment that we have. All right, we're going to be bringing our hips through quickly, squeezing our butt, and then over the top, really long arms. All right, we shouldn't be resting up here. We shouldn't have spaghetti arms. All right, big press, a lot of extension here with our arms. All right. So that's our ground to overhead. The next movement I want to talk about is our press. So you can still use the same equipment that you have, whether it's water bottles, pillow, anything. All right, and what we're going to do for this is we're going to hold our piece of equipment right here at our chest, and we're going to press up overhead. So just like in our ground to overhead, we're getting a press here. So it's finishing off that piece from our ground to overhead, just staying at the chest and pressing right overhead. It's a strict press. We won't be using any legs. If you do have a heavier piece of equipment and you need to use your legs a little bit to get it up overhead, that's fine. You can dip a little bit and then press overhead. Right, that would be more of a push press. Or you could just grab something a little bit lighter for this, right? So we're right here, bringing our head through at the top, and our arms should be right up above our head. Lots of tension here. All right. Our last movement is the Russian twist. So for this one, we're gonna have to come down to the floor. All right, for this one, we're gonna start off, and I'm gonna show you 2 different modifications for this. We're gonna start off just leaning back here. When we lean back, we should be engaging our core, all right? We should already, right now, I'm already feeling my core starting to burn here, just from leaning back in this position. If you are able to, and you can balance here with our feet up, we can come up to here, all right? Then we're going to grab our pillow, our water bottles, and we are going to come side to side. So we're gonna twist, touch on each side, twist, 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 All right, meanwhile, my legs are staying up. I'm still in this lean back position and my core is working and we're getting into the side of our abs here. All right, say we're having a tough time balancing up in this position. We can bring the feet down, keep it here, and still bring our piece of equipment side to side. All right, we can also do this one as unweighted and just tapping side to side on the floor with our hands. All right, the biggest thing is that we're in this lean back position and we feel our core working. All right, so that's our workout. We're gonna do 13 minutes, 13-minute AMRAP, doing as many rounds as possible. And our reps are 20 ground to overhead, 10 presses, and 30 Russian twists. All right, I'm gonna start us the clock and we're gonna get started. In 3, 2, 1. Starting with that ground to overhead. Going all the way to 20 for this one. You'll notice when I'm doing these, every time I come down, hips are coming back, back is nice and flat. All right, then I'm gonna go right onto the presses. All right, so I'm here, I'm gonna press straight up for 10. All right, then I'm gonna come down for my Russian twist. And for this one, I'm gonna show it unweighted, just coming side to side. And we are doing 30 here. Now if at any time you need to take a short break, you can. Take a second, shake it out, and then jump right back into the workout. So I just got through my first round, and I'm gonna keep going until that 13-minute mark, just getting as many rounds as I possibly can. All right, so coming down here, back's nice and flat, tapping the floor. Coming up, long press overhead, head is through. That's 2. So with this one, again, like I said, we're really focusing on that flat back. One thing you want to avoid is squatting here. We don't want to squat here, right? That's getting a little bit too low with our ground to overhead. We want to keep our hips a little bit higher. We don't want to go below parallel. We want to stay a little bit higher and still keep a nice flat back on that ground to overhead. All right, I'm going to go into those 10 presses. with these 10 presses, another thing to think about with these, we don't want to overarch our back when we're pressing up overhead. It's going to put a lot of pressure back here. So make sure that when we are pressing, we're thinking about keeping our chest and our belly button close together, keeping everything tight here, and that's going to support us and protect us from overloading our back. All right, so we're going to let our core and our abs take the brunt of it. All right, coming up to that 5-minute mark and starting on second set of Russian twists. Now I'm showing a couple of different variations. This time I'm keeping my feet down but using the pillow. That's fine, as long as everything right here is nice and tight, right in our abs. And that is 30. Now I'm coming to the end of round 2. I'm going to take a second, grab some water, and then jump right back into this one. Definitely good to stay hydrated, so anytime you need a sip of water, take one quick. And I'm going to hop back in to this 3rd round. Again, starting with those round to overhead. Should feel a big stretch here at the bottom. Right coming down our hamstrings in the back, we should be feeling it. Now with this one, you may not all be having the same back position as I do. I mean, your hips may not be this high. They may be a little bit lower. They may be a little bit higher. The reason we need to adjust this is when we bend a little bit more, we make a little bit more room for this back to stay nice and flat. If we stay too high, we may not have that flexibility to keep a nice flat back, and then we end up rounding here at the bottom. All right, so finding a good spot for you where you can keep that flat back, a good depth here, while also staying above parallel, not squatting, just keeping our hips a little bit high here and a flat back. All right, did my ground to overhead, going into my presses. All right, that's 10 presses. Come down into those 30 Russian twists. Feet are going to come up this time. And that is 30, an end of my 3rd round. All right, this round I'm going to do with the water bottles, that way you can see a little bit of a difference in using a pillow versus 2 different items. All All right, so with this one, I'm gonna hold them in separate hands, but they're gonna move like they're one piece of equipment. All right, so again, I'm gonna come down and tap the top of my water bottles, press up overhead. All right, that's 20. I'm gonna use these again for my presses as well as my Russian twist on this round. And we've got about 3 minutes left in this AMRAP. When you're using objects like this, you wanna see if you can keep your elbows here a little bit higher, bring them to your shoulder here, and then big press up, head through still. Now you may not get through the same amount of rounds as I do. You may get through more, you may get through less. Everybody's working at their own speed on this one. Just make sure that you are challenging yourself through this AMRAP. All right, for this one, I really don't need to hold 2 water bottles, so I'm gonna hold one and bring it side to side, holding it sideways. Feet are gonna come up. And that is the end of that round. All right, so you can really use anything for this workout, whether it's 2 small pieces of equipment or 1 like my pillow. You can also use a backpack if you want a little bit more of a challenge and put a little bit of weight in it. All right, there's about 1 minute left, so I'm really gonna try to get as many reps as I possibly can here towards the end. All right, that's 20 going into the presses. I got 20 seconds left. And 3, 2, 1, and that is the end of the workout. Thanks so much for joining me, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.